I'm going to drain the cooling system on this tractor. In preparation for this video, I removed the grill guard so I could remove the side panels to have easier access to the cooling system. To remove the grill guard, you need a 10mm Allen socket and a 17mm wrench to remove the nut and bolt. Then you only need a couple basic tools to service the cooling system on this tractor. You need a 17mm socket, and the extension might be handy, and then a ratchet of course, and a 10mm socket and extension and ratchet, and of course a drain pan. The easiest way to drain the radiator on these tractors is to remove the lower radiator hose at the radiator. There's a clamp with a 10mm hex on it. But before removing the hose, be sure your tractor is cold. You do not want to tempt this on a warm engine. Alright, I got the clamp off now, and I already pulled the hose off. The radiator's just about finished draining out. Now, to most people, this would be a complete cooling system service, but I'm going to take it a couple steps further and drain the cooling reservoir and then go around and drain the block. On the bottom of the cooling reservoir, there's a little hose. You can just squeeze that clamp with your fingers, remove the clamp, and then pull the hose off and let it drain. Now we're over on the left side of the tractor. Right here is the fuel filter, and come on back. Right there's your block drain. Get your 17mm socket and you can remove it. I'm just holding the plug there to keep from making a mess. I'm going to reinstall the block drain plug now. Be sure that the sealing washer is on the plug. Now back over on the right side of the tractor, I'm going to reinstall the hose on the coolant reservoir. And now I'll reinstall the lower radiator hose. Be sure you have your clamp on before you put it on. Now the lower radiator hose and clamp are installed, so I'm ready to refill the system with antifreeze. So what I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video was an 8mm Allen socket or Allen wrench. Need that to remove this plug. You remove this plug so as you fill your radiator with coolant, you purge the air out, pour it in slowly and watch. And once you see a little bit of coolant starting to run out there, put the plug in and top the radiator off. To fill the cooling system, I'll be using a 50-50 mix of antifreeze and distilled water. Depending on your climate, you may need to use a different mix ratio. Coolant was running out the bleed hole, so I reinstalled the plug. This is how much coolant was in the radiator and the coolant reservoir, and here's how much was in the engine block There was about a third of it that would have been left in the engine block if it had not been drained. Now I'll top the radiator off. Then I'll fill the coolant reservoir. Alright, now that the radiator and coolant reservoir are full of coolant, I'm going to take the tractor outside, let it run through a heat cycle, which means come up to full operating temperature until the thermostat opens. Then I'll bring it back in, shut it off, let it cool down,